Hello everyone, here's a video for Practical Math, week 2, all about earning credit. So for week 2, we're going to answer the essential question, how can math help me analyze the impact of financial decisions today on my credit score, the interest rates I pay, and the cost of major purchases in the future? So the objectives we're going to talk about what a credit score is and interest rates. We're going to explain how lenders use credit scores to evaluate risk. We're going to talk about the kinds of behaviors that affect people's credit scores and interest rates. We're going to compare simple and compound interest. We're going to use mathematical strategies to calculate monthly payments given the principal and interest rate, calculate how compound interest affects the total cost of a major purchase, and compare the total cost of major purchases for people with low and high credit scores. So a lot of stuff going on. I want you to take notes while we go through this video. You can pause it at any time to go through the examples. After the video, read the week 2 text to get further into credit and credit scores. You can use this video lesson, you can use the text as a resource while you're doing the assignments for this week. If you have any questions at all, please call me, email me, or attend my online class. I'd love to work on this stuff with you guys. Okay, borrowing money. Have you guys ever borrowed money from someone and not repaid it? Or even worse, has anyone ever borrowed money from you and not repaid it? Hopefully you said no to these questions, but borrowing money is something that we tend to do a lot of here in the US, whether it's borrowing money through a credit card, borrowing money through a loan. Most times people purchase a house or a car or some other large purchase, they borrow money and sign a document saying they're going to pay it off. So in this lesson, we're going to learn about credit scores, interest rates, and how to analyze current financial choices, such as borrowing money and failing to repay it. It can have major costs in the future. Have you ever considered how your grades or your college plans might impact your financial future? What important financial decisions are you going to make in the next few years? Some of you have already been thinking about this, but you may be interested in purchasing a car. You may be getting excited about moving on your own, renting an apartment, right? Or you might want to get a job. Perhaps after graduation, you're going to take that big trip, a senior graduation trip. You may be thinking about getting married sometime in the next few years. All of these things are pretty big decisions and involve some degree of planning and being prepared financially. A credit score. Credit, when we talk about credit, it's the opportunity to borrow money or to receive goods or services in return for a promise to pay later. A credit score is a single number assigned to a person used by lenders to predict the risk that borrowers will not repay. Credit rating agencies such as TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax actually track your use of credit through their lives and create credit reports. So they look at all your major purchases, they look at all your loans, they look at how well you pay credit cards, they look at your bank accounts, what's in them, what's not in them. They use all this information to compute a credit score for you. The most famous one is called your FICO score. It's the Fair Isaac Corporation. All right, so we're going to start off by taking a survey and we're going to come up with our own credit score. Again, this is not your real credit score. It's just an example to help you guys understand what's going on. So here's the survey. If you want to take it on your own, here's the website. You can pause it and write it down. I'm going to take it just on here for our video, just for purposes of getting in and understanding this lesson. All right, so here I am at the website. I'm going to go and put my name in. I'm going to put my teacher's email address. And let's go start doing this survey. All right, my access code, I'm going to write that down just in case I need it. And take the pre-survey. Okay, what was my score in the most recent test in this class? Let's say I did a pretty solid B. In this class, how many assignments have you missed or turned in late? So far, I've only turned in 1 or 2 late. Again, for any of these questions, feel free just to be honest, but if you don't know, you can just click any answer. It's just going to give us something to play around with. At what age did I first save some of your own money? Started saving when I was 7 to 10. And how many clubs or organizations are you involved in this year? I'm only involved in 2. What was the last time you asked your parents for money? About 1 to 2 months. Well, no, about more than 6 months ago. Let's submit this survey and see what our score is. All right. So we got a survey score of 720. I want you to write that down. If you take this own survey, we're going to go with a score of 720 for our credit score. So a credit score is always between 300 and 850. Our score was 720 on the example we just did. 300 is the lowest possible score, and it represents that you are a very high risk in paying back the loan. It means you're not very good with things. It means you don't take care of your money. Probably means if we loan you money, there's a really good chance you're not going to pay it back. 850 is the highest possible score. It means you've shown good reliability, you've paid stuff off, you don't even have much debt. And there's a whole range of in between. 850 is really hard, but 300 is really hard. Most people are in that 400, 500, 600, 700 range. Each question on the survey was designed to simulate one of the factors used to assess risk and determine credit scores. So here you go. What makes up your credit score? So 35% of your score is your payment history. When you have your bills, are you paying them on time? When you get older, you have water bills, electric bills, a car payment. Are you paying all these things regularly, or are you occasionally missing and not making payments? If you miss a payment, it gets reported as part of your credit score and it's a ding. Are you managing your debt? Do you have a lot of debt, or do you just have a little bit? The more debt you have makes you look like not a very good credit-worthy person. Your length of credit history. You guys are going to have a small length of credit history because you're just starting out as 18, 19, 20-year-olds. By the time you're in your 40s or 50s, you've built up a credit history and you can show that you're reliable. Do you have a diversity of accounts? Do you have a few different credit cards? Do you have a couple bank accounts? Do you have a couple loans? Are you showing that, yes, you're not just banking on one line of credit? And your number of credit applications. Are you taking out a new loan every few months? Are you buying things all the time, selling them, not pay? You get dinged every time you get a credit application for a new line of credit. So all of these make up your credit score. Obviously, your payment history and how much debt you have make up the biggest chunk, but these little things make up a big chunk as well too. Credit scores are used in many different ways. They're used by organizations to determine whether you're worthy to get an apartment. You can actually not get permission to get an apartment. They may say, no, your credit's no good. We don't trust you to make the payments. You're not going to get this apartment. Your jobs. Whoops. You may not get a job based on your credit. You may not qualify for insurance or receive a loan. So you can be disqualified for all these things if you don't show that you have good credit. Let me ask you this. Would you be more likely to lend your money, your savings, to a classmate who got a score of 400 with a higher risk? Or would you rather give your money to someone with a score of 700 and trust that they'll pay it back? Which one do you think will pay you back more? Obviously, the person with a score of 700. You feel a little bit better about that. Credit scores also influence the interest rates that you get on a loan if you can obtain a loan. The interest rate is the price paid for using someone else's money. It's expressed as a percentage of the amount borrowed. Principal is the actual original amount of money invested or lent. So when you take out a certain amount of money, there's an interest rate that you're going to be paying it back. We'll look at a couple examples about principal and interest rates here. Okay, example 1. You're going to purchase a car. You found one you like, and it has a price of $15,500. You don't have that saved, so you want to take a loan, and you see that you can get a 5-year loan with a 0% interest. Now that's pretty rare to get, but let's play around with this. So if it's a 5-year loan with 0 interest, we're going to take just this $15,500 and spread it out over the 5 years. So the total cost of the loan, well, once we pay it all back, we're paying back $15,500. And so in some ways, there's no cost to pay back this loan, right? You're borrowing the money and you're just paying it back, and there's no interest, so there's no cost to it. as long as you pay it all back. So the monthly payment, we're going to take the total amount, $15,000 and $500, and we're going to divide it by 60 for 60 months in the 5 years. And I get my calculator, 15,500 divided by 60. I get that we're going to have to pay $258.33 each month. If I pay that for 5 years, there we go. If I pay that for 5 years, I'll pay it off the whole entire loan. There's no interest, so there's no extra cost. I just have to pay it back. Okay, but what happens now if I actually throw in some interest? So again, our original zero interest loan was $258 per month. I'm going to keep that up here. But now we're going to do the same principle, a 5-year loan, but now we're going to do 2% interest. All right. We're going to use a simple interest formula. I equals PRT. That's interest equals the principal P times your rate R times however much time T. Okay, so for 5 years, let's figure out the interest. Our interest is going to equal the principal, $15,500, times my rate, which is 0. I have to turn the percent into a decimal, so 0.02 times 5, because for every 2% is every year, and we're doing it for 5 years. All right, if I calculate all that out now, how much interest are we going to pay? 15,500 times 0.02 times 5. So we're going to pay $1,550 of interest. This is the cost of our loan, right? So now if I take this loan, I have to pay that money back plus pay this extra $1,550 as the cost of getting that loan. Someone's giving me the money, but they want some value back for it. So the total cost of the loan is the original loan amount, the principal, plus the interest amount. And together, that makes $17,050. So now there's my total cost of my loan. So that's my now total cost, and if I divide that by 60 months, so $17,050 divided by 60 months, my payment now is $284.17 per month. All right, so what happened? We can see that we went from 0% interest, only cost me this much, $258 per month. And now that I have a 2% interest, it's going to raise up the cost of my loan. I have to pay more per month now. I have to pay an extra $26, almost $26 per month to pay for this loan. So you see, interest makes a big difference. You may not think that that's that much, but it adds up. If you're paying an extra $26 a month for 5 years, that's an extra $1,550 that is no longer yours. So you can see with just a 2% interest rate, it makes a big difference in how much money we have to pay for the car in the long run. We have to pay an extra $1,550. And in the monthly payments, our monthly payment increased by $26 a month. That's 2 movie tickets and popcorn that you no longer have. So we just did an example of simple interest. There's also something called compound interest, and this is actually more commonly used by banks, credit cards, and other financial institutions. Compound interest means you may have a yearly interest rate, but we compound it every month. So let's take the same loan, 2% yearly interest, but this time we're going to calculate the interest compounded each year. So there's a formula for that. I'm going to go over with you guys. And so we're going to take the principal. Whoops, gotta get my pen out. The principal of $15,500. We're going to calculate how much interest now that we're compounding it monthly. So we're still going to multiply by my interest rate, but it's 2% for the year, so every month I need to take that 2% but divide it by 12 to get the monthly rate. So we're going to take 1 plus the monthly rate, 0.02 divided by 12. And again, I use 0.02 because that's 2% as a decimal. And now, since we're compounding it monthly, instead of 5 years, we're going to take it 60 times because there's 60 months in 5 years. So here's the formula that we need to calculate the monthly compounding, but it's still going to give us the interest. It actually is going to give us the total of the loan. All right, let's calculate all this out here. So I'm going to pull out my Desmos calculator for this. So we had $15,050 times 1 plus our 2% interest rate divided by 12 months. So now it's our monthly interest rate. We're going to calculate it for 60 months. And we get $16,631. I'm going to write that down here. $16,631. Whoops, I just realized I put the money in wrong. This is not 15,050, it's 15,500. There we go. So we should be $17,128.72. So we did that. We just calculated it all out. $15,500. Our principal at the 2% rate divided by 12 per month for 60 months. And we got $17,128. Let me scratch that out here. $17,128. I got my numbers mixed up, and 72 cents. So that is our new total amount for the loan, to pay back the loan of $15,500 and with the interest compounded monthly. Now contrast this, remember when we did the last example with simple interest, the loan was only $17,050. This was our simple interest example. So we can see that from simple interest of 2% for 5 years to compounding it monthly actually made it slightly more expensive, right? It added another $78 to the loan. So compounding it every month actually ends up working more against you when you take a loan. It costs a little bit more. But banks like monthly payments, like you to pay every month, and so they compound it every month. And they kind of do a little bit of the loan every month to keep things current. All right. So there's a little bit of simple interest, and there's a good example of compound interest. By the way, if you need the formula for compound interest is the loan amount equals your principal times 1 plus your interest rate per year divided by n. N is how many times you want to compound. We did 12 because there's 12 months in a year. So n is how many times per year. And we do n times t, and t is the number of years. We did 60 over here because 60 is 12 times 5. 12 months and 5 years is 60 months. So that's your compound interest formula. If you want to jot that down, keep that in your notes, use it for the rest of this class. All right, so far, what have we learned? We've calculated the additional cost interest will have on a loan. The higher the interest rate makes the loan and purchasing large items more expensive for you. Your credit score is based on your past spending habits and reliability and directly affects how good of an interest rate you will get as a consumer. If you have a good credit score, you get a low interest rate, which is a nicer loan and you don't have to pay as much money. If you have a bad credit score, you get a high interest rate and loans are really expensive. Okay, what is this? Look at that formula over there. That's awesome. This is the amortization formula. Banks use the following formula to calculate your monthly payment. A is, what is your monthly payment? I is your monthly interest rate. So you take the annual interest rate divided by 12. P is your principal. N is your total number of payments. However many years times 12. So we're going to play around with this formula and do some monthly payment costs. All right, we use this formula. What is the monthly payment for our auto loan of $15,500 at an annual interest rate of 2%? And I didn't put it down, but we're going to do this for 5 years. All right, how do I do this? So we're going to calculate the amortization. What is the monthly rate? Let's first start off with I. I is your monthly interest, right? So our annual interest is 2%, so I need to take the 0.02 and divide it by 12 and put that in for I. So 0.02 divided by 12 times P, my principal, so that's multiplied by $15,500, times 1 plus I, so it's the same 0.02 divided by 12 times to the n power. So I need to use exponent. N is for 5 years times 12 months and 5 years. So I need to multiply it, or so I need to take it to the 60th power. There's everything on the top. Now divide that all by 1 plus I. All to the 60th power again, and then minus 1. Whew, look at all that. It's quite a lot there, right? Take a snapshot of that, write that down, and then we're going to go back to our Desmos calculator and calculate all that out. Okay, so in the numerator, I'm going to use my parentheses as well. I've got 0.2 divided by 12 times, use my keyboard down here, times the principal, 15,500, times, use another parentheses, 1 plus 0.02, make sure I got the decimal right, 0.02 divided by 12. To the exponent, I'm going to click this A over B button and then put in 60. There's my numerator. Now I got to put the denominator in here. Parentheses 1 plus 0.02 divided by 12 to the 60th power minus 1. All right, look at all that. Calculate it all for us, and we have a payment of $271.68. The monthly payment A equals $271.68. There we go. We're going to have to pay that every month for 5 years to pay off the loan and the interest associated with it. Let's do another example. We've got a more expensive loan, $30,000, at an annual interest rate of 4.7%. So let me jot this down here, and then 4.7%. So let me write it all out. So it's going to be the same thing. So we're going to have, got to convert this into a decimal. So it'll be 0.047 divided by 12. We're going to put that in for all the i's. Our p is now 30,000. And our n is for 5 years again. So let's do 60 for n for another 5 years. So in my calculator, I want to put in this 0.047 divided by 12 times 30,000 times 1 plus the interest rate, 0.047 divided by 12 to the 60th power. And in the denominator, 1 plus 0.047 divided by 12 to the 60th power minus 1. Unfortunately, we still got our calculator up, so when I go to calculate all this out, I can just substitute some numbers around. So let's change now. Instead of 2%, it's 4.7%. Our loan amount now is 30,000. We're still doing 4.7%, still doing 5 years at 60 months. And if I change this percent, now we can see for a $30,000 loan, that's about what a new car would be, at 4.7% interest, that's a reasonable interest, I'm going to pay $562.02 per month. So when we calculate all this out, for this scenario for 5 years, the loan amount was $562.02. That's the amortization formula. Now they use programs for this. They don't all calculate this by hand, but it involves computer programming. This is the math formula they're putting into all their computers to calculate how much do you need to pay per month to get the loan back. All right, so now how does your credit score? So we looked at some different interest rates. We did some calculations. We saw that adding interest makes your loan more expensive. Remember that credit score survey we did earlier? Hopefully you did it too. Say if we want to purchase a car that costs $20,000. We need to take a loan. How will our credit score affect our interest rate? Well, we took the credit score and we got a score of 720. So over here, I just barely squeak into getting the best interest rate. I will only have to pay 2.5% on the rate. So my monthly payment is $354.95. And there's my total cost of the loan. So I have to pay the $20,000 back plus an extra $1,297 for the cost of the loan. But now say, what if we didn't have very good credit? What if we had a score of 675? Well, that would put us in this bracket right here. We're now going to get a 6.5% loan. That's not as good. Watch what happens to our monthly payment. Our monthly payment goes from $354 to $391. That's $37 more. That's a considerable amount of money. And over the whole life of the loan, we end up paying $23,479 instead of just the $21,000. That's over $2,000 more expensive. But it's the cost of not having as good a credit. So you can see, and the lower you go, you get the worse rates. If you're at the very bottom to try and buy a car, the same car, you're going to be paying like $180 more per month, and almost $10,000 more over the life of the loan because you're not very credit worthy, you're not trustworthy. Banks don't feel very good about giving money to you, so they want to get as much money as they can in the monthly payment. All right. So you can see improving your credit score is a smart decision that can have major impact on your life. We were just looking at purchasing a car. What if you're purchasing a home for $100,000, $200,000, $300,000? All of these things, your credit scores affect your interest rates that you get on all your loans. So what are some things you can do? Well, make sure you pay your bills on time. Always pay them on time. Call them if you know you're going to make it work with your whatever bill you have to pay. If you're worried you're not going to get on time, call them ahead of time. See if you can work out making arrangements, because you don't want them to call the credit agency and tell them, yep, so-and-so didn't pay a bill, because it's hard to get that off. So make sure you pay all your bills on time. Start building a reliable credit history. Even if you're only 18, 19, or 20 years old, I would suggest getting one credit card that you barely use. Use it once in a while and then pay it off right away, but then you're starting to build a credit history. You're showing that you can handle having a credit card and being responsible with it. Don't spend more than you make and carry a bunch of debt. If you have high debt, if you have a high credit card and you're just paying it off a little bit and paying off a little bit but adding more to it, that's not going to look good on your credit report. Only apply for loans and credit cards when you really need it. Don't open 10 or 15 credit cards. Just keep 2 or 3 that are really good. And then make sure you're checking your credit scores for errors. Actually, identity theft and people who want to steal your credit card or steal your accounts and use them, if that gets on your credit score, it's hard to get those off as well. So make sure once in a while you're checking your credit score, that there's nothing that looks weird, that you can fix mistakes, so that when you do want to make that big purchase and get that good interest rate, it's ready to go and you're not going to be surprised by anything. These are all good things to be aware of as a consumer, and obviously you want to have a high credit score and get those best rates. All right, there we go. We did a lot today. We talked about credit scores and interest rates, how credit scores evaluate your risk, what kind of things you can do to improve your credit score and get that best interest rate. We looked a lot about the math behind simple and compound interest and how monthly payments are calculated, and the total cost, how it changes based on if you have a low or high credit score. Hopefully this was a great informative lesson for you. This is the stuff that I feel like every student really needs to learn, especially as you graduate high school. You may already be thinking about college loans and student loans, and there you go. You want to be very smart with your interest rates there as well. All right, have fun working on the assignments for this week, and let me know if you have any questions.